Hi, I'm Justin Wilkins, the National Fleet Manager for TDG.
And I'm Josh, the National Electronics Technician.
Today we'll be working through the CCTV van training video. I've split the training into 4 categories. We've got the pre-start, the vehicle walk around, the CCTV equipment operation, and the CCTV fault finding. The first section we'll be working through is the vehicle pre-start. The pre-start's separated into 3 categories. We've got your daily pre-start that's carried out before leaving the depot. We've got your end of day, and then we've also got your weekly checks. The first item we'll be working through is checking your engine oil level. Now on these new Mercedes, this is done through the dash. There's no dipstick under the bonnet. What we have to do is put your foot on the brake, start the engine up. We then click the home button on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, flick across to service, and then down to engine oil level. We then push enter on the steering wheel and it displays the engine oil level currently. Now this is an important check to do daily because the engines will burn oil in between servicing. So they can burn up to 1 litre every 1,000 kilometres to still be within spec. The next item we'll be working through is checking your coolant level and examining your radiator for leaks. To open the bonnet release is found on the left-hand side of the dash. Now with the bonnet open, we can now check the coolant overflow bottle. This is located on the driver's side in this reservoir here. The coolant is a bright pink colour, and there's a min and a max mark at the front. Please make sure that the fluid level is between that min and max mark. The next item you're going to check is your radiator. Your radiator is located at the front of the vehicle here. You're just checking that for leaks. So the coolant is a bright pink colour. It'll be very evident if there is a leak and your radiator tanks are leaking that pink fluid down the side. The next item we'll be working through is your brake fluid check. Your brake fluid reservoir is located on your firewall on the driver's side. The reservoir has a min and a max mark. Just make sure before leaving the yard that your brake fluid is at that max level. The next item we'll be working through is checking for leaks and loose parts. All we're doing here is looking under the vehicle's engine to make sure that nothing is dripping or hanging off the vehicle. The next item we'll be working through is checking your wheel nut indicators. All of the heavy vehicles in the TDG fleet run the yellow wheel nut indicators. What these are for is a quick visual for the operator to see whether or not any wheel nuts are coming loose. Please make sure that both the pointers are pointing towards each other. If they're not, do not leave the depot and contact maintenance to repair. The next item we'll be going through is your tyre pressures, cuts and wear. To check your tyre pressures on the vehicle, just give the sight wall a slight kick and notice for a dull thud if there's no air in the tyre. To check for cuts and wear, we're checking your sidewall of your tyre to make sure that there's no damage or cuts. We're then checking your wear indicators in your tread of your tyres to make sure that the tyres are roadworthy. On the sidewall of the tyres, we have in certain locations a symbol that represents where the wear indicators are on the tyre. If we follow these symbols across, we can see that the wear indicator is in all those grooves of the tyres. When that tyre gets to a mil above those wear indicators, it's time to write a defect report to let the fleet department know to change the tyre. The next item we'll be working through is checking your tail lights, headlights, brake lights, indicators and reverse lights are all working, including your beacon flashing light on top of the vehicle. The next item we'll be working through is checking your CCTV equipment and tools. We're just making sure that all the required tools and equipment that will be needed for the day's work is located in the van. The next item we'll be working through is checking your CCTV equipment pressures. Now, the reason why we carry out this check and why the equipment is pressurized is to stop water infiltration into the equipment and destroying the electronic boards inside the system. The first item we do is make sure that your crawler and your camera head are both connected to the cable reel. We then come around and turn your master switch on. We then turn your CCU on and your HD extender on. We then come around to your Rovion screen, pushing the triangle exclamation tab. We then push the triangle again with the gear in the triangle, and then we click device status at the top of the page. Now, as we can see there, we've got the camera pressure is red, as in there's an issue, and we've got the crawler pressure is okay. So what we're checking for there is to make sure that all the equipment is in the green. If it's in the red, it's two reasons. It's either low on pressure or high on pressure. So if we have a look here, this one's been slightly over pressurized. So we need to take out some of the gas just to get that sitting back into the green. The next item we'll be working through is making sure that WinCan is operational before leaving the yard. What we need to do is turn on the CCU and the HD extender. This is the same process as we did when checking the pressures. We then turn your computer on and open up WinCan on your desktop. Once WinCan is opened up, open up a project. We've got the test project here. With the test project open, all as we're looking for is that the WinCan has footage on the screen and the OSD box is lit up green. The next item we'll be working through is making sure that your traffic signs and traffic cones are in the vehicle. The next item we're working through is making sure that your first aid kit is in the vehicle. We're not checking the contents of the first aid kit, we're just making sure that it is located in the vehicle. The next item on the daily check is making sure that your reverse camera and reverse beeper are operational. The next item on the pre-start check is checking your brake efficiency. All we have to do here is slowly have the vehicle in motion and depress the brake pedal to make sure that the brakes are operational. The final item on the daily pre-start check is making sure that your generator is full of engine oil. To do this, we disconnect the seatbelt strap, we undo the screw, and remove the engine oil dipstick. We're making sure that the engine oil is all the way up the end of the dipstick. We now move on to your end of day checks. The first item on your end of day checks is refilling your fuel tank. Your fuel fill point is located on the passenger side of the vehicle. Make sure that the passenger door is open the fuel flap. We've also got your AdBlue on this vehicle. Your AdBlue fill point is located under the bonnet. Please make sure that both of these levels are checked and topped up daily. The next item we'll be going through is filling up your water tank at the end of the day. We've got two water outlets here. We've got an inlet which fills the water tank, and we've obviously got an outlet that obviously pumps the water out from the tank. Please make sure this is filled through the inlet and there is an overflow to atmosphere under the van to know that you're at your full level in your water tank. The next item we'll be working through is making sure that your CCTV equipment is clean, dried, and stored in the right location with all protective caps installed. The next item we'll be checking is making sure that the vehicle is cleaned internally and externally. The next item we'll be working through is have you used your first aid kit and have you used your fire extinguisher? Now the reason for this is back in the daily pre-starts, as in before leaving the depot, we weren't checking the contents of the first aid kit. This check allows us to do that. This now informs fleet or your supervisor that an item out of the first aid kit has been taken or your fire extinguisher has been used, so refill it. We now move on to your weekly checks. The first item in your weekly checks is making sure that your e-stops work correctly. There's one located up on the automated reel and there's also one up on the CCU unit. The idea of this is you engage the e-stop and the Rovion system and screen all power down. The next item we'll be working through on your weekly checks is checking the condition of your pan shaft O-ring and lubricating at the same time. This is critical so it slides into the crawler body without any resistance, which can damage the O-ring or cause issues with the crawler. The next item we'll be working through is cleaning your automatic reel's drip tray. Down the bottom of the cable reel, there is a drip tray used to catch all the dirt, muck, stuff that you don't want entering into the system. There's also 2 infrared sensors that work on top of this drip tray. It is vital that this is checked weekly to make sure there's no interference with those sensors. The next item we'll be working through is checking your electrical connectors on all your CCTV equipment. Making sure that they're clean, not full of mud, corrosion, water. If they are, give them a spray with contact cleaner and blow them out with the air blower. What you're looking for is making sure that there's no green or white discoloration in the pins that's evidence of corrosion on those electrical terminals. The next item we'll be working through on your weekly check is charging the batteries for the CCTV system once a week. Now this is a 15 amp plug, so make sure you've got a 15 amp power source at the depot. The final check for your pre-start is draining and filling up the generator engine oil weekly. The reason for this is the generators can only run between 40 and 80 hours on the clean oil. After that time period, it then gets contaminated and then it'll cause the generator to trip out on site. So it's good practice to change it every week before the issue arises. To do that, all we do is unscrew the dipstick, pour the oil into a container, and then fill up the engine oil with the correct specification. That concludes section 1 of the pre-start checks.